School, I was in the class of 64, and let me tell you a little bit about us. We were the first of a group of people that has a tremendous amount of effect on not just this city, but this state, but this whole country. We were born in 1946. The guys came home from the war in 1945 with love in their heart. And in 1946, we came along. Very true. We were the first of the baby boomers. First baby boomers were born in 1946. We are the class of 1964. The last baby boomers were born in 1964. They quit. They said, that's enough. And I'll tell you what kind of influence we've had on Greer. Now you think about it. In 1946, all these babies got to come. In 1947, 1948, went on to 1964, they kept coming. And our leaders said, what are we going to do with all these people? You know, that's very true. What are we going to do with all these babies? 1946. They built Allen Hospital. Very true. I was born in Spartanburg, but they had to do something. And we started the school. They said, what are we going to do with all these people? In the early 50s, Buddy, when was Greer High School, the new school built? 1951, Steve? 53, 54. Okay, we were born in 46. They said, what are we going to do? They built a new school. And when we got in high school in the early 60s, you know, there was room. When he started bringing in kids from Appalachia, Central, Duke Creek, Victor, Pelham, you had to do something with them. And they put us in school up there. They knew we was going to get out of school. They hoped we was going to get out of school. And they said, what are we going to do with these people? And they built Greenville Tech. Very true. I mean, you look at that place, here comes Greenville Tech. They said, what are we going to do with these kids when they get out of Greenville Tech? They built Home Life, right there. I mean, I started looking at this, just thinking about this, and that's a fact. You know, look what we've brought along. Well, they built all these places. And then we all went to work. And they still looking at us. I mean, we come along, and then they say, what are we going to do with these people? They're going to get through work, and they're going to retire. They started building nursing homes. Nursing home now. And Social Security, when it started, the average lifetime was 61. Well, we living longer than that. And our leaders are saying, what are we going to do with all these people? We're still a problem. Well, they started national health care. They're going to let us die. Hey. Oh, yeah. Well, now, if you get sick, don't tell nobody. They won't give you no, they won't give you no medicine. You know, they won't give you no medicine. They're taking care of it. But this is, and I'm really proud to be in the class of 64 because we were, that's a fact, the first baby boom. And we've gone along and we started Greer. And come from all different kind of communities. They are stories to be told. I look around here and see some of these faces. Like Steve said, we was born on 21st Street down there. I came up the street a while ago and I seen a little girl out there. She had a telephone, watching a movie. We lived on 21st Street down there. We had 3 channels, 13 and 74.
I didn't have it, though.
Yeah, Steve used to come up the house and watch television. He had to help. My daddy brought some conduit home from the house, from the mill, and stuck it up beside the house and had antennas sticking up there. And yeah, but Lewis Brown, he had a pair of channel locks out there on that thing, and you could turn that antenna, and you could pick up, you know, if you turn it the right way, turn it toward the high school, it'd be better. And I used to get out there, he'd raise the window and a movie come on at night, Super Western Theater or something. We loved to watch it. And he'd say, boy, go out there and turn that antenna up toward the ice. I'd go out there and get them things and go turn it, and Daddy'd be in the house and say, whoa, whoa, go back the other way. And I'd turn it back up, whoa, right there, right there. That's the way Steve got coming up there. He heard Daddy holler and he didn't know what he was doing. Well, we didn't know it. We didn't know it. But it's coming up a storm and radio waves and things bounce off the cloud. And if it's cloudy, the waves will bounce off those clouds and you get better reception. You don't know that now, but when we had those old antennas, that's what happened. Well, we didn't know what was happening. We just know if it rained, that we could watch more television. So I'd get out there and turn that antenna and Dad'd say, hold it right there. He said, that's good. He said, get the hose pipe and squirt it on that. I'd be out there at 11 o'clock at night. We had raised on Victor. And we got people in here from Greer High School that come from all walks of life. Buddy lived down there on Victor. If you lived on Victor, you thought the people that lived on the farm and had a cow and a horse, you said, man, they got it made. They own property, you know, and stuff down there. You said, they're rich. And they was looking back at people on the other way and saying, well, they got a record job and get a check every week and know what they're going to get. They doing well. We all thought everybody was a little bit better off than it was, but we was all really well off. I checked the mileage, didn't know what it was the other day. From the middle of Greer to my house on Victor is 1 mile. You cross, if you come up 101, you cross 2 railroad tracks. And I saw on TV the other day, they played Love Me Tender, Elvis Presley. That movie was made in 1956. I was 10 years old. And me and the boy that lived right across the street from me rode a bicycle up here. 10 years old. Can you imagine your 10-year-old grandchild getting out and riding and doing something like that, man? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, this town, you know, where we were raised here and the people that we're around. And to see them all come in here tonight, it's wonderful. And I see my good friends, and I mean, I can tell some funny stories. I go on a lot of stuff, but when I was young, I was a good boy. Really, I see Jimmy Hawkins, Steve Kelvin, Steve Brown, and everything. And they tried to lead me astray, but I was always there for them, you know, trying to get them to come back. I was a victim. my parents, they just didn't have that much money, and if we went anywhere, there'd be a bunch of us go together. And we'd go, hey, I'll tell you something I thought about the other day. I mean, this ain't got nothing to do with what I'm saying now, but how many of you here remember Airport View? Airport View. Yeah. Hey.
Went with my parents, and they said, this is not what it's supposed to be, and we had to leave.
Okay. But what it usually was, you go down and it was a view of the airport, and you could park and watch the planes come in and take off. But people would get down there and park and they'd forget about the planes. But you know, we didn't always have a girl to take down there with us. And
hello.
That buddy could catch a sheep, I'll tell you that. True. Now we had a blank starting pistol, and me and Jimmy Hoffman and Steve Greer, and I guess probably Bradford, I don't know, but we went to the Airport View and had a wig, and two of us laid down in the back seat and had the guy and the one with the wig on in front. And we pulled in. And they were all not looking at the planes or anything, you know, like cars were all fogged up. And we rolled the windows down in that thing and started to fuss. Don't touch me! I'm not gonna do it! And it went on, and then all at once, pow! Pow! We shot. Everybody at Airport View left. Everybody. But I know Buddy's got some. He probably won't talk about them sheep. Now let me let somebody else talk. Now I'll talk to you some more. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow right there. I have more stories than anybody that I've ever known in my life, whether they're true or not. But I called Don on one night during the week. I didn't have his cell phone number, so I called his home number, got his voicemail. I got his cell phone number now. So anybody wants it. I put it on Facebook if anybody wants his number. I called him, left a message, didn't hear anything back from him. So last Sunday, I laid in bed, sleeping, of course, about 8:30 in the morning. Nobody calls at 8:30 on Sunday morning. The phone rang, about scares us to death. And the thing, you know, nowadays you have this answering voice recognition thing that tells you who's on the phone. Brown, Donald. Every time it rings, it says, well, Terry's closest to the phone. That's Don. Get that. So anyway, she gets the phone, Don said, "Hey, I got your message, what you doing?" I said, "Sleeping." "Oh, did I wake you up?" "Well, I time to get up anyway." They said, I said, "Where are you?" He said, "We're at the beach." Said, "I'm sending Sherry home." So we got a bunch of hardtails coming in here now. We're gonna play golf. So that was last Sunday. I said, "Well, you gonna be there, right? You coming up?" He said, "Yeah, I'll be there, but now we got something to do. We'll be there after 8 o'clock. So he did show up. So I put his cell phone number in my phone, my cell phone. So one night about 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm sitting up and don't have anything left to do, Okay, Billy Bowman goes spinning up tail for us.
How many of you have been skinny dipping? Come on. Raise your hand. It's dangerous. It really is dangerous. You don't ever jump off a boathouse. It hurts. And you have to be careful about where you leave your clothes. You know, we went out, I got my clothes bent twice by some girls. Well, I was at George Davenport's boathouse out Lime Lake. Now, one group was nice enough to bring them back to me, you know, before that. So they sat there shivering. But the other, we had, I had to sneak. They didn't bring them back. They never brought them back and let go. You remember where Gary Crawford lives? Gary Crawford. Remember where he lived? Down the road from there. And we had to sneak through people's yards and wait on him to get home from the date and borrow a pair of his big old blue jeans to get home. Who in here knows Billy Gross?
Yeah. Who doesn't know that?
Billy Gross. Billy Gross got me in more trouble than any human being. I'm lucky to be alive. Over where Jimmy Benson's is now, I'll just tell you about the face of Greer at this particular time. Where Jimmy Benson's is now, over in that area was the Scout property. Remember that?
Yeah.
The Scout property. And Gross was kind of he was a leader. He was an idea man. His ideas weren't always sane. But we'd go over to the Scout property. There was about 10 of us. And my old friend Pat Sudditt and Billy Smith went Billy coached down like Graniteville and James Island and Charleston. Truman Tillotson, Mac Allen, Dan Howard, Alton Bell, a bunch of those guys, you know, a Victor all around. And we would go to the Scout property and find out what kind of trouble we could get into, basically. And we'd have a big old, we'd camp out over there and have a big old pot of beans and put 3 or 4 different types of beans in there. We'd live off those things for a couple of days, you know. And Gross comes up with the idea of, I'll tell you what, I think this is the way Gross talks. I tell you what, I think we need to go skinny dipping. I said, all right, bad idea, Gross. You know, he said, where you want to go? Let's go to Sullivan's Pool. So we tried to talk him out of it, but he's determined that we're going to Sully's Poo. So the 10 of us went to Sully's Poo.
I'm Steve Brown.
Did he ever go ski dipping at Sully's Poo?
No, stay on him.
No.
Get out
So
do something.
some of us took our clothes on outside, clothes off outside, but others we waited till we got inside. Well, I got across the fence, took my clothes off, and we were just having a good time, making noise, because we didn't think anybody was there. And about that time, while somebody belly busted off the diving board, the poo lights came on. Sully's Poo. So there you see 10 naked bodies going over the fence, and we're going in different directions. Dan Howard and I, bidding Bobby Howard's younger brother. I don't know if somebody remember bidding Bobby Howard played Greer High. And went across a ravine and went across the highway. I grabbed my clothes on the other side of the fence and was putting them on, just trying a little at a time, but the police started arriving. And we went down to Howard and I went to the middle of we were putting clothes on in the middle of the superhighway. And I can just hear it now. And though you won't believe it, of the highway. So went over and went down to her thing, and she said, we were down at the bottom hiding, and the cop said, "Come out, boys." And so we're not down here. And then, can you imagine the cops getting a call now? We got 10 boys, we got boys skinny dipping in the pool out here. So that was, we got separated again, and I went running across the field, finally had my clothes on, and over there about where Jimmy Benson's is now. I was just interested in getting away, so I was opening up pretty good, and all of a sudden I was running across this field, and there was nothing left underneath my feet. My foot hit once on the bank. The second time it hit face down on the highway there, because it was dark and we didn't know what was going on. But when we finally got back to the place down there, Groves was apparently in the woods back by our camp place, and all of a sudden the light comes off and says, "All right, hold it right there, boys." That was my story on Bill Groves.
Got another story on Bill Groves.
Anybody else?
Yes, I got another story on Bill Groves. The late Bill Smith and Bill Groves, they were down in Louisville one night, and this freight train was coming by, real slow, so Groves and Smith, they were going to not hijack the train, but get on the freight train. And they jumped on it, and it was going about 15, 20 miles an hour. And they got on that thing to Spartanburg, and they didn't know how in the world they were getting back. But it was the late Bill Smith and Bill Groves. They, some stupid reason, they jumped on the train. But what I was going to tell you about Bill Groves, they had a ball game that particular one night, and I'm not defending anyone, but it's a black team playing. And Groves was down in right field and over the fence. He had a smoke bomb, and he threw it over the fence to the right fielder, and that right fielder came running into home plate. The smoke bomb, he didn't know what. That was Bill Groves. So, and if anyone knew Bill Groves, that was that's just the way he was. Always in some. But Bill Groves, he was a piece of work, and Bill Smith, the deceased Bill Smith, he was a wonderful person also. But buddy, you did a great job tonight. We appreciate you being here and whatever you did for the city of Greer and everything. Your here for Buddy Bowman. Thank you very much.
it over to Mr. Eddie Harvey here. Come on, Eddie.
Good job. My girl, Brown's coming. What's going on? What did you grab me and then to tell you?
Quiet down.
These girls here come way back.
Is this on?
Yes, sir, it's on.
Quick story about how many people work in the peach shed?
I was kidding. Over here, right?
I organized a strike at Taylor's Peach Shed.
Nobody fits in now.
Giles Bramlett was the overseer.
Yeah, Brown.
And we were making 50 cents an hour. And I thought we ought to be making more money than that because them Taylors living up there on the hill, they got all kind of money. They got a big brick house, cars.
We didn't big from Greer Mill, though.
Well, we had people from everywhere working there that summer. I think I've still got one of those little pay envelopes where you work every afternoon, whatever it is during the summer, and it might have had $20. But anyway, I organized the first strike at Taylor's Peach Shed. That's before unions come on. And I got, you know, long breaks and stuff. Dinner time, that's 12 o'clock. I got everybody together and I said, look, we got to stick together on this now. You know, we pull this off, we're going to get more money. I think we'll get 60, 75 cents an hour. And then everybody's behind that after a while. They got to think, yeah, that's good. Well, after dinner time, we didn't go back to work. And Giles Bramlett come down through the middle of the packing house and said, everybody that ain't back on their machine when I start this thing up is fired. Well, guess what? Everybody went back but me. And guess who got fired? One night we leaving Taylor's Peach Shed. There's a million stories in the Naked City. You know, there's a TV show. Mendel Hawkins, I don't know how it come up, but Daddy had a 50 Chevrolet Club 2, black. It was his pride and joy. He washed it all the time. You couldn't put your hands on it. Well, he let me drive it to the Peach Shed, but he always checked the mileage before I left, so I wouldn't be driving all over the place with a bunch of yahoos, heathens as they call them, boys in the car. But anyway, after work one night, Mendel Hawkins, somebody got up a race down by that old snaky road back behind Taylor's Peach Shed, all the way back over to whatever that Memorial Drive extension is. That it? Anyway, I got through, you know, and we were 15, 16 years old. Got through about 3 of them S curves, and somehow I just lost it. And it's the one we didn't all get killed 1,000 times, but the car just run off the road for some reason. And it was a big plowed red dirt field over there. Steve High was in the car. Lived down on Maryland Avenue. Well, Mendel stopped. It took about 10 minutes for the red dust to settle so we could see where we were at. Anyway, we got the car out of the field and it looked awful. And I'm scared to death because Daddy's going to look at it in the morning. So we went, I took Steve home and we stopped out there on Maryland Avenue under the street light. And Steve got the bright idea. He said, I'll go in the house and get some rags and we'll wipe it down and you won't be able to tell nothing. It'll be
You go on home, everything will be fine. Well, he did. He went in the kitchen and got some.
Well, he did.
He got some greasy dish rags. And he went to work on that Chevy, and out there on the street light, I mean, we had it looking good. We had it look good, sparkle out under that street light. But the next morning, it's sitting in the driveway, and Daddy really, I don't think I got to drive no more to the beach. But I've got, this is if everybody, y'all got to tell me when to shut up. But this is a story that will be in the new book. And this has got some audience participation in it. Y'all into that? Yeah. All right. Well, this is old sayings and stuff. And it's got an introduction to it, about a page and a half. And then I've tried to think of all these old sayings and what I want you to do when I get down to them. We'll stop again. So I know there's some old people in here and you have to remind them twice. But here we go. Common everyday things that people used to say are quickly vanishing from the Southern speech pattern. Many things have contributed to it, including the infusion of different nationalities, cultures, and the geographical migration of indigenous species, most notably the Rust Belt Yankees. Since Southerners were cut off from the outside world for several generations after the war between the states, the old sayings remained here longer than other parts of the country, less fortunate. I am by no means an expert on the subject, but I would guess that the majority of old Southern adages are derived from the British Isles and their transplanted derelicts. Some came directly to a Southern port of call, and some arrived in northern cities, and by the force of gravity oozed away down south. We don't turn loose old things easily. Some join the Daughters of the Confederacy. Some continue their individual genealogy search for cotton plantation or rebel officers above the rank of captain. But for sure, we take a certain pride in being dragged slowly from one century to the next. Because it's so hot and humid, Southerners are to use the least possible number of words and mouth movement to get a point across. I practice Southern speech. Imagine the temperature is 100 degrees, humidity is 95%. You got chapped lips, or I've gone to the dentist and got a good dose of Novocaine in the lower front gum. Quit moving your mouth. I know y'all are trying it now. I'm regressing, so let's get back to the old sayings. Old sayings are a short series of words that depict a situation that you are presently experiencing or know something about, and they're sometimes redundant. They're adjective in nature when referring to a person, as in, I wouldn't give him air in a jug. To explain it, it's obvious that the person saying it despises the person they're talking about, and they're bestowing something that he already had. Another way to explain it, their disdain for the man would be to say, I wouldn't piss on him if he's a fire. What I said is just as counterintuitive to the prior paragraph explaining the use of the smallest number of words possible, but that's what makes the Southern language so colorful and confusing. I have a concern that we're losing these sayings as we evolve in a more cosmopolitan South, and I wanted to leave at least one reference to some that the old folks used to say. Some I remember, some I've read, jotted down, and some I plagiarized from other writers. I'm sure there are other sources with more expanded number of phrases, their origins and their definitions, but in keeping with the Southern tradition, I haven't put any more work into this than I had to. So let's get started. If you know how you would use this, just chime in or raise your hand, do whatever you want to do. If I had my druthers. Druther. D-R-U-T-H-E-R. If I had my druthers.
If I had a choice.
If you had another choice, right? Speak up. He wouldn't hit a lick as a snake. Harder than a $2 pistol.
Harder than a $2 pistol.
That could be used in a lot of things.
Oh, that's a good day.
There's one.
Bigger than the fleas on a dog's back.
Bunch of
She cooked his goose. He could take him out like cheap lard. Anybody heard that? You couldn't hem her up in a 10-acre field. I can't hear very well, so you gotta shout out. He's as crooked as a dog's hind leg.
Yes, honest.
Billy White.
She was fit to be tied. Does anybody know what that means?
I heard it, but I don't know what it is. Way over your head, man. I know it is. Not crooked as you, though.
It was green as gold.
Inexperienced.
They were thick as thieves. He was stout as a mule. Stout, you don't hear that word. And here's one, probably your daddy told you, keep it in your knickers.
Same thing you need together in your powder. These are wire.
If I had half of mine too, I'd tell her a thing or two. You're just gonna have to bite the bullet on that. He was slower than molasses.
Not too bright.
In the mill, they named me Lightning. For the opposite reason. I was a sweat with 4 burners. Put 2 between 2 fingers. It was fine as snuff and not half as dusty. You better mark my word. He's looking mighty spit. Get your britches on. What does that mean? We're in a hurry. You don't believe cow horns are hooked.
Like rain.
Wonder why.
When he found the bottom of the well, he just kept on digging. That's when somebody don't, well, I ain't gonna explain it, but she was built like a brick outhouse. That's self-explanatory.
You're smart.
That ain't what you think it is. You got another thing coming.
You got another one. I got it.
That dog won't hunt. He's gonna bust a seam in his britches.
That's why.
She's so mad she looked like she broke the axle. It was 0 dark 30.
0 dark 30.
And here's one I don't hear this. This is really from older people. I mean, I think it goes way back. When you talk to her, she just goes from pillar to post. Anybody know what that means?
She is all over.
Back and forth.
She's all over.
That way go
She's stacked like cordwood. They was running like chickens with their head cut off. It was as cold as the balls on a brass monkey. You know where that came from? It's not what you would imagine. In the British Navy in the 1700s, the cannonballs were on a copper plate. They had indentures for the balls to sit in, and they would stack the balls up. The plate was copper because the cannonball was iron, so that the salt water and iron would, some of you electrical people could tell me what that is, but anyway, it'll corrode and rust the balls together, the cannonball. And copper and iron expand and contract at different rates, so that when it was cold, the copper would expand faster and the balls would actually, the cannonball stack would actually fall apart. So that's where that term came from. I was sucking hind tit on that. Don't dig your well below the outhouse. She's as pale as she had the dysentery. I'm getting 3 squares a day. See, he could pull the handle out of a maul. And the one my mama used to say all the time to me, when you die, your family is going to have to hire a pallbearer.
Eddie's got this seat here, so I'll just sit down here on it. Don, it ain't your turn yet. I have one more to add to what Eddie said. He could tear up an animal. Think about that one. Ready? All right, Don. Go ahead, Don. Get up here.
You know what? Got a hair out of place.
Looks like you've been laying down getting your life.
I ain't got a wedgie though. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know where Eddie got that story about them brass monkeys and stuff. But when we was in high school playing football, and they gave us out our equipment, they gave us our uniform, and this is true. They gave us one jockey. They give you one jockey. And that's in August. And you put that jockey on in the morning in practice and pull it off and hang it in the locker. You don't wash it. But it's wet with sweat. And it hangs in the locker. And you go home It's air conditioning in the locker room. And you come back. And it's still wet and it's cold. And I swear, colder than the balls on the brass monkey. It didn't have to do with no cannonballs. And I can't believe Buddy called out about him and Bill Gross and them going over there and eating beans 3 days. And spending the night. But Buddy come home, he thought he was like Benjamin Franklin. He said, oh, this is one I've discovered natural gas. He said, I can heat Victor Wheel. Me and my poor buddy. I'm talking about heating and cooking. We were talking about, I was a good boy, and really, they did try to lead me astray.
Jimmy Hawk,
Steve Greer, this is very true. We were at the clock, and Jimmy and Steve started a fight with some guy. And it was bad. And I was trying to break it up, and they thought I was involved in it. We left, and Steve Bullis ran the clock. And Steve, Gundy was talking about that Greenbrier bus. We was in that thing, and so we left in it, and he knew it was there. So Steve put out the word that, Steve Bullis put out the word that Steve Greer was barred from coming to the clock. And that's where we all went. So we were over at Steve's house, and we said, let's go up the clock. He said, I can't go up there. He said, I've been barred. I was quiet. Well, Bullis has got the word out. I said, I'll take care of it. I said, get the number. So we called the clock. I said, can I speak with Steve Bullis, please? Bullis, hello! I said, Mr. Bullis, this is John Greer. And I want to call and apologize for Steve. I understand that he was misbehaving up there. And that you was barred. But me and Mr. Greer lucked to have Friday and Saturday night we send Steve up there to pick up meals, and we love you too. We buy a lot of stuff from him. We just hate to see Steve barred from up there. Lewis. Oh, Mr. Greer, no problem. You send a Steve up here anytime he comes. He's a good boy. I said, no problem. He said, there's some sorry sons of bitches he runs around with. I said, you damn grease monkey. Greer said, shut up. They wouldn't let him come up. I'll tell you, Buddy and Eddie, they gonna get up here and talk, but I want to tell you, when we were kids, and what it took him 2 hours to watch the Ted Mack amateur hour. They slow now. I'm a day getting over. I'm just trying to be honest. Let me see what else. I had a couple of notes. Oh yeah. Jimmy Hawker remind me of this. We go to drive-in. We'd slip in. You get in the trunk. I'm going to tell you, the best car you could slip in is a Studebaker. Oh, Boat Howell, Brian Howell, Steve Howell, and they always had Studebaker. He had on 2 or 3 of them. And we could put more people in the trunk than them than him. So we went, and Bradburn's driving. So we're going in the Greer Drive, and we stopped down the road down there around where the library is now. And me and Alton and Greer get in the trunk. Bradley pulls out there to the rear drive-in, pulls in. How you doing? Come see the movie? Yeah, Clay, he's talking to him. They said, $1. He paid them. Can we get you any popcorn? Clay said, 4 boxes. He gets 4 boxes of popcorn. We pull down there and park, and when we get out of the trunk, they waiting on us. They give us a pass. It was good for the Greer or Belmont, I believe. We left there and went to the Belmont, didn't buy no popcorn. We got to watch it. Kick out over there. We had a good time. I could tell you a lot of funny stories, but to be serious, we were fortunate. We've lived in a golden age.
Yes.
It's absolutely. Our children and our grandchildren will never see what we've seen. It's just like I said, I was 10 years old, rode a bicycle from Victor to Greer. It's been wonderful. And I've traveled some, been in other places in the country and some other countries. But I've never met people like people from Greer. And even at Greer High School, the relationship that trickled down through the years, it's unbelievable. And you see people that started out, didn't have anything. We didn't have anything. It was tough. We didn't know that. And when I say we didn't have anything, I don't know what you measure that against, because if you reach out with one hand, you're nothing. You can't reach high enough with the other to say what you did out. And you see people come here, and you walk up to people and they hug you, and you know it's real. It's not a fake. And we're blessed. It's really good, you know, when we get together and tell stories like this and look at people and you love them. And, I think this came together real loose-like as far as me, and I got 1,000 stories, and there's a few of them true. No, it's amazing. When I first started to work, I worked at Celanese for 41 years, and some of my buddies, we worked together and we'd go to work there in different stages, and we'd go in and we'd start talking about things that we did, and we told people, and they didn't believe it. And then somebody else would come along, and they'd tell a story, and it matched right up. And people that come from different parts of the country think, they said, you know, we can't believe that. So there was something special going on in Greer. And when you go to a place to tell stories like this, if somebody's going to tell one, don't ever tell them. Don't tell that story on me, because it'll happen. I'll prove it to you. When I started up here tonight, I talked to one of my buddies, Steve Campbell. And he said, don't tell that story. And I keep hitting. Steve Campbell's a great musician. He can play anything with strings on it. He can play a blow line, I think. But me and him have traveled all over. We go out in Arkansas. We went out there for years, 12 guys, and stayed on the White River and played and sang with people out there. It was the hometown of Grandpa Jones. His family has been out with us at 5 o'clock in the morning partying. And we just had a wonderful time. And several years ago, Steve and I went out there on Thanksgiving, and just me and him. The people out there are so gracious and generous. They gave, when the 12 of us went, they would give us 2 log cabins. I say cabins. log home, beautiful place to stay. Never charged us a penny. And they treated us like family. It was unbelievable. When me and Steve went out there on Thanksgiving, they'll come out, musicians, and play. Steve will play with them. And I mean really talented people. The girl that was there with us that night had played at the White House for Clinton several times. They record, and she had one of her best friends with her, and she looked very much like Dolly Parton. She wrote a lot of successful songs. Now she was going to be there. Both these girls were playing, and Steve was there, and there was a couple of other musicians, and me. Well, on the way out there, Steve and I stopped at, where you gamble? Tunica. We went in Tunica. Went at the gambling place. We don't run like that. We go in Tunica. Go in there, and they built that place out in the middle of the cotton fields. And when they built it, they said, you got to hire these people to live around here. So they said, you got to get a card. When you play the machines, give you information, you stick them in there and you'll get a rebate or something. So I walked up there and this big gal that had been working in one of the cotton fields they put to work. She said, I said, I need to get a car. She said, okay. She said, what's your name? I said, Don Brown. I'm from South Carolina. She said, I got to put this stuff down. She said, what's your name? I said, Don. Computer was there. D? I said, Steve, we're going to be here. Oh, anyway, when we were out there, they had a gag show. And I went in there, and going back to Buddy's story about eating all these beans, they had a remote horsemanship. It had a speaker with it, and you could put that speaker anywhere and you could have to mic the button. You know, I mean, when you get it the second time, it'll be a different tune. You know, it'll be different. There's about 12 different tunes on it. So, me and Steve get out there at that cabin that night, and this girl comes out like Dolly Parton. She's got on a beautiful dress and everything, her hair's all put together, all kind of earrings and stuff made up, and they start singing these pretty songs. Well, I got that speaker and put it under the chair. Where Steve was sitting. We sit there and drink some wine and stuff, and they play a beautiful, she said, I wrote this love song. This guy was so important in my life, and he left, and every time the birds fly over the clouds, and she had told all his stories, and they sung that song, and we all had tears. They stopped. Steve was sitting there, and Steve's sitting there with that banjo, and he started teasing. Oh, man. Most of the girls are sitting there. Oh, man. They play another one, you know, and quit, and they done forgot about that. Oh. Steve's throwing it. About 6 times in a little while, I see him looking at Steve. So that night when they leave, we say bye. They go back to the cabin. Bye. We'll see y'all good night. I'm going to listen some more. Thank you.
It's impossible.
Go home with her, Will. Don't let her drive home.
Ma'am? Bullets. Did y'all ever hang around the car? I just wanted to add what he said about Bullets there, Steve Bullets. He put up with us just like these people did around the YMCA's. When I would go into the clock, he would come over, he had a ritual, he'd come over and he'd always throw ice on it. Say, what do you want, son of a bitch? And we would trade insults. You had to be around Greeks and to realize that was a lot of people's nature. Hey, a smile would be just one little. They wouldn't show you a big smile. There were people would come in and say, hey, but I was gone from. I left here. Thinking about, well, I went to North Carolina, went on down to the University of Georgia and finished there and started teaching in Gainesville, Georgia. Stayed there, liked it so much I stayed for 29.5 years. But I'm thinking, I've come back after 10 years after seeing this guy. It's 10 years since I've seen him. And I walked in and I was thinking at least the guy would have something nice to say to me. You know, walk in and say, well, hey, boy, where you been? Et cetera. You know. When I walk in the door, he just sort of glances around. And then all of a sudden gets a little piece of ice. Comes over and touches on me. Where you been, son of a bitch? That's Bullets, right?
You know what I mean.
By the way, Steve, you're playing February what in Greenville? Hey, February 10th, Steve Campbell is playing in Greenville. He's going to have his band back together, right? He's going to have a 30-year reunion. Where's it going to be? The Handlebar. You know where it is?
4 p.m. Sunday after the Super Bowl at the Handlebar.
Brown, did you play in the All-Star game that they had up in when we played at Victor? They had an All-Star game that went on and they took people from 4 teams in Greer City.
Oh, I did in North Carolina.
To Shelby, North Carolina. Yeah, to play a football game in Shelby, North Carolina. And we had a 115-pound lead. And they took players from 4 teams and put together an all-star team. What they didn't tell us when we went up there was our 115-pound team was playing Shelby's junior high. Their junior high team. And we still had some 5th, 6th, 7th players, you know, on that team. We got beat 20-0. And that's the first time I'd ever. But the nice thing was that afterwards they would, they got us together and had a little.
Hey, I'm sorry.
You want to say something?
No, I'm talking to the owner here. It was prior.
I wanted your input here. It looks like you're trying to get a date, right?
Sir, we got to be 20 people. Hey. What?
All right, folks, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight for all of us, and for us just to get together and share some memories. All right, I appreciate it.
We need Lisa to do a cheer for us.
Yeah, come on,
All right, one more thing I got to say, and I guess we're probably ready to wrap this thing up.
And you just put me through the hell out of it. No, yeah,
Kind of add a little bit of what Don Brown said about Greer, being from Greer, traveling, so on and so forth. And, you know, we live in a jet age. That's just, you know, the way it is now. You didn't see it, just the way it is. I was in the Air Force for 4 years. I thought, you know, I'm going to get out of Greer, we're going to see the world, we're going to do something different, and the heck with this place. So, I ended up in sandy beaches of wonderful downtown Vietnam. And walking down the street one day in Vietnam, you can kind of imagine the street on Air Force Base in Vietnam. Run into Buzzy Stewart. All people in the world. I'm halfway on the other side of the world, and I run into a guy that I graduated from high school with 2 years ago. So we didn't have anything to say to each other at that time, as you can imagine. But Buzzy's mama, what was your mama's name? Hazel?
Killer.
Hazel used to send Buzzy the Greer citizen to Vietnam. Now, you talking about a good time, those guys that we were stationed with over there had no clue what Greer was about. And then back in those days, they used to have the social payments in the Greer citizen. You remember that, don't you? Right. So-and-so had a birthday party and all these, so-and-so named 25 different people that was there at that party, and they had cupcakes, you know, Kool-Aid, whatever else. I mean, just went into elaborate detail on the whole thing. I don't know if y'all know Buzzy very well or not, but he's not in real good health right now. I'm sure he'd love to be here. He is a great storyteller as well. And I wish maybe he'll, how about you to come up here one night and he'll up here. Really struggle sometimes with his health. But he would read the Greer citizen to these guys. And we'd all sit around in the barracks in Vietnam while Buzzy read the Greer citizen to these guys. Yeah, but they were known to actually read. And they would just roll into the floor laughing. And they just could not believe the Greer citizen, you know, what was in it. We had a good time.
How about when Mother said tapes? Mother would send tapes. Did Mother play those tapes for y'all?
Yeah.
And Mother would sing?
Yeah.
That was
We had a hoot. We had a hoot. When Buzzy came to Vietnam, we had a good time. And kind of end that story with this. I was leaving, shipping out, coming back to the States. And Buzzy had a few more months to go. At that time, it was a 12-month tour. And I was in the rotation, Richard Nixon had voted in the president, I was cutting back and all this. So I got 3 weeks early out. So I was leaving. Buzzy wasn't on the flight line. Among other things, he was in supply. And so he was fueled up airplanes. We had fighter jets there on the base. And he was fueled up, and one of the things that he did. So I had to go out on the flight line and catch a plane. I was going to Cameron Bay, and from Cameron conveyed back to Seattle. So, long story short, he was seeing me off, kind of strange way to travel around over there, but you had to walk, or you had to, they had buses that ran around the base, and you could get on the bus and, you know, go wherever you wanted to go. So, pretty big base, Air Force base, and spread out with all the incoming rockets, and, you know, so they spread things out in different locations. So if Charlie's shooting rockets down here, you're not going to have everything congregated in one place. There's, you know, a lot of space between stuff. So I got the bus and drove out, finally got around out to the flight line to get my plane. Of course, it's military transport. We're sitting, Buzzy pulls his fuel truck up, he's sitting there with me waiting for my plane, and I look around, I'm the only one leaving at this time, so, you know, they're not in a real big hurry to get me out of there, so we're just waiting, and all of a sudden, we hear this machine gun fire, just like, right there, and it's just, we hit the deck, we looked around and go, what the hell is that going on? So, they bring the jets in, we had fighter jets, and they bring them in and have bunkers between them, so big sandbag things between the planes, and all as far as to prevent, if this plane gets hit, the fire won't spread to that plane. You know, it's just containment there. Some doofus airman got in the cockpit with one of the jets that had just come in from a mission and just started shooting the onboard guns, and just right there, you know. Fortunately, he was laying away from everybody else, so I was glad to hurry up and get out there. So I left Buzzy with that. The last time I saw him in Vietnam. So anyway, do you guys have anything else to say?
Can we just thank Lisa Zuma? Do you know of a better group of people than the Greer Oldies? Do you know of a better group? I don't. And thank them all for coming out tonight, supporting everybody, especially Bundy, Amy, and the Collins. Can't hear you. Can't hear for some reason. We're ready. Thank you. Yeah. I want to thank Lisa Zuma for allowing us to come here together tonight, for all the Greer Oldies, especially the core group. These are the people that get together, plan your reunion, and for them to have a great reunion last year. Collins, Sue Allen, Amy, Steve Campbell, Gundy, of course, Carl Howell, and who else do we have? Alan Calder, Stan Coster, and our newest addition, Claudette. This group makes sure that we stay connected and stay together, and that's why we have the old side and have everybody here tonight. So we're so happy that y'all came out tonight. We appreciate Lisa and Bray and the whole staff for hosting us, also putting out for this movie. Well, have a good night. If anybody else wants to say anything, the mic is still live.
Okay, everybody join me in this cheer. Everybody remembers 2 bits. 2 bits, 4